right, many thanks for still being there. Just like I said earlier before we went on that short breather, we're looking at our focus conversation for this morning, the excessive borrowing of this present administration. Of course, the DMO has said that Debt Management Office have said that Nigeria is almost going above its borrowing capacity. And how will all of this put together affect the incoming government of President-elect Tinubu? And to talk about this morning, we have Comrade Ayodele Adewale, who is a state organizing secretary, APC Lagos State Chapter. And of course, he is the immediate past executive chairman, Amowo or Dolphin local government area. He is also a former mobilization and liaison officer to late Chief Anthony Enahoro-led Pro-National Conference Organization. He is former secretary to Professor Wole Soyinka-led Citizens Forum, former secretary to later Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti, June 12 Coalition, and of course, former National Public Relations Officer of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, and former president of the Lagos State University Students' Union's government. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Ayodele.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Of course, you know that we are two here.
Good morning, Ayodele. Good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while we had you on set. Okay, so I think we are going to be starting with this present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. And just like we have it on the papers here, Serap is actually suing this government for even wanting to go ahead with the $800 million borrowing that was supposed to be used for fuel subsidy removal. So let's start with that, with that conversation. What do you think about the borrowing capacity of this particular administration of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, first and foremost, you must understand that government is continuous. It has no limited restriction as to carry out its own function. The government was elected to be in office for 4 years, and within that framework of 4 years, yes, they still have the leverage, the window to carry out their function. I remember that the government also had a budget that was submitted to the National Assembly, and that budget was duly approved. So whatever they are doing, it's within the framework of the approved budget, and there's nothing anyone can do about it, because the budget itself is a law that has been passed by the National Assembly. So the fact that the government is winding down does not mean that they should fold their hands and allow states to go into the frozen system. The next administration that is also coming, thank God, is from the APC party. So it's just passing the baton from administration. So
I think we've lost the audio of Comrade Ayodele at this moment. We can't hear him anymore. Okay, I think he's back now.
Okay.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
we can
we
hear
can
you
hear
now.
you now.
Yes, we can. Just go ahead with your thought.
Okay.
So what I was saying in closing is that the government that is coming is of the APC. The government that is winding up is of the APC. And it's passing a baton from one government administration to the other. And it makes it a seamless process. So whatever any organization is doing, yes, it's also good for democracy. You understand? To test the water. But the question is, have they fouled the law? Have they worked against the budget that was passed by the National Assembly? If the answer is no, then the Buhari administration is in line, and whatever that they are doing is very, very low.
Okay, so we are looking at the fact that Nigeria's debt profile actually rose from 12 12 trillion naira as of 2015 when the Buhari-led administration took over to where it stands now at 42.84 trillion naira in the space of 8 years. That's a lot of increase, in over 8 years. And even though you say it is within the boundary of the budget that was passed by the National Assembly, this is still going to be largely an economic problem for the next administration. 42.84 trillion naira is a lot of numbers being borrowed by this administration. How do you think it is going to affect the incoming administration?
Well, it's not going to be a problem to them. Say, if you look at the debt profile of the United Kingdom, the debt profile of America, I think Nigerian debt is just a pin in the haystack. But what we should look at more is what are they using these funds for? Are they just using it for current expenditure that overweighs capital expenditure? Are they using it to open up the economy to generate more revenue? These are areas that we should be more concerned about. If we are afraid of debt, then definitely we are not going to develop within the situation that we find ourselves in Nigeria. Remember, there have been a government before that generated more revenue, but those revenues were not plunged into capital development to a level that would have helped our economy to stabilize itself. Most of those funds were plunged into wasteful expenditure. And we saw many of these things as alleged by the documents that the EFCC put before us. Many of these funds were used for campaigns. Many of these funds were also used to get religious bodies to pray for the administration and all whatnot. But the Buhari administration decided to put this fund majorly into capital expenditure to the extent now that the bridge that connect the south to the east have been fully completed. And so many roads, rail projects, and so many other sundry matters have been put upstream. These are things that will grow the economy. I also know that many of the roads that were constructed have been told, like it was when we were young. And so many of these contractual documents have almost been signed. And these roads are going to generate funds that will be used to pay back the loans that was gotten in order to put it in place.
Okay, so something else you have pointed out that stands out is the fact that if we are borrowing this money to put it in, infrastructural development that will move the country forward and projects that will move the country forward, then it is not, totally to a wasteful end. Now that sounds constructive from that end, but when we look at criticism from Nigerians. They say the amount of money borrowed in this current administration is not commensurate to the kinds of infrastructural development that we have seen. First off, we have a major problem in the oil and gas sector. If we have borrowed 42.8 trillion naira, why didn't we borrow money and affix it into rehabilitating our refineries and the likes?
Well, the oil and gas sector has been rebranded. Remember the law that was just signed that allows NNPC to go fully commercialized and it's going to be run majorly by the private sector. And for the first time, NNPC has audited itself. Right now, NNPC is making gains and it's more like a chemical, and within time, the bucket will be filled. What we have in the oil and gas sector majorly is oil theft. And with the working of that system, you saw that a lot of pipelines that were used in stealing our oil were located, and so many of it have been removed from the major oil pipeline stream. These are blockages that is good in order to make sure that our revenue counts. The government is not throwing its eyes off of these things. Things are being done in that sector. And it also signed on many companies to construct modular refinery. They are bringing private sector into the industry. The Dangote refinery will be commissioned, I think, this week. It also will help to rejig our economy and make our system improve better. And it's not just producing petroleum refined products. They are also going to have other derivatives from that other point, which also will create jobs, direct jobs and indirect jobs and so many things. The Ashwaju administration that is coming on board, it's an administration that really knows that industry very well. Remember, Ashwaju had worked with ExxonMobil before, and as an auditor, he was able to help in block leakages like never before. That investment by ExxonMobil really grew in Nigeria to the extent that they were able to build their headquarters in the island. As at before, when they were just tenants at the bookshop house in Broad Street and many of these things. And let's just give them a chance and watch will happen within the first 100 days in office. The first 100 days in office will give us a good pointer on how the administration is going to solve a lot of our problems. And remember that the document is there, the reviewed of document. Like I said at the program yesterday, that Nigerians should download that document, should have copies of that document, and we benchmark the performance of the incoming administration with that document. They've already shown you a roadmap. They've shown you a workable solution towards the Nigerian national problem. And these things will be, past in the shortest time to come.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to lean on one of the things that you have said, giving the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration a chance, and the fact that the first 100 days in office is going to change a lot of things in the country. But will that also change the economic situation that we find ourselves in? When you look at the Buhari-led administration, you find out that because of the too much of borrowings, or even despite the too much of borrowings that we have under this particular administration, the economy has seen a lot of recession. And I don't think that we have come out totally out of some of these kinds of recessions. And this is the kind of economy that will be transmitted to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So would you say that in 100 days in office, we'll be having a serious turnaround in all of this?
In 100 days in office, we are going to see a lot of policy change and policy working. Life itself is not static. Every day we change. Every day we improve on ourselves. If we indeed want to improve, we can improve for good, of course, and also improve for bad. But the administration is tend towards improving for good. Many things that will help our economy is majorly policies. As you earlier said, it's going to create incentive to the private sector to come in and improve on the Nigerian economy and all of that. So these incentives are some of the things that will help to redirect our economy for good. And of course, as you have the political capital to bring in investors on board. He has demonstrated it in Lagos State. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but that's the truth. If you want to show me the way, I have seen how that way have improved for me. Look for example, the Victoria Island, when the ocean was ravaging that place. Lagos State did not go borrowing money to fix it. What they simply did was use their political capital and incentive to bring in an investor. The investor came in and reclaimed those lands and got more from the Atlantic. And of course, it changed the economic uh, uh, space of the state. It increased the IBR of the place, it improved on the aesthetics of the state, and it also solved that problem. And that same investment is bringing on board a lot of investors. Go to the Mercury Free Trade Zone. It was a matter of policy. It was that policy that attracted the Dangote refinery to come on board, a lot of petrochemical companies to come on board, a lot of food processing companies to also come on board, real estate also came on board, and so many other things. So it's a matter of policy. Policy will help to rejig our economy.
Okay, so another area I would like us to look into is now you likened his successors to Lagos State as former governor, and the fact that he was able to raise the internally generated revenue in Lagos State. Now that is Lagos State. We are talking about the whole of Nigeria now. Of course, this is one country that we know that we are not even exporting anything. We only import, and it has a way of dealing with our economy and of course our internally generated revenue. How is he going to make that happen? I think we just lost network with Ayo Daily right now, but I just hope that we can get him back on track, to be able to put more light, throw more light on some of these conversations. And I know that majority of the supporters of Bola Ahmed Tinubu would always link it back to, his success story in Lagos State. Now, let's not forget, not a lot of people also agree that Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually put Lagos State where it is today. There are people that have their reservations, and they'll tell you that for Lagos being the first capital of Nigeria, it had already a structure, right, and all of that, and that alone made Lagos State where it is right now. But again, some people have said, yes, we won't also say that he did not do or make any contribution or impact, when he was governor of Lagos State. But that's just Lagos State. Now we are looking at him controlling the 36 states of the Federation. Yes, we also know that we have governors on the sidelines here that will be administering their different states. But how can he, as the #1 man at the helm of affairs, take charge of everything and make sure that, yes, Nigeria is back again on their feet? Whether we like it or not, we've gone through a lot of recessions. Okay, Comrade Ayodele, thank you so much for coming back again. So I was talking about generating internally generated revenue. Nigeria is predominantly a country that imports. And because of that, it is affecting us negatively. Now, how do we intend to generate this kinds of revenue that will not make the incoming administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to borrow more monies from the World Bank or the UN and all of that?
I think the major thing to do is block leakages. There are so many leakages within the IPR system and all of that. It is not true that Nigeria does not export, as said by you. There are a lot of things that we
When we
export.
put it
Even
side
food.
by side with
We export
the
food.
kinds of importations we make, we would likely say that what exactly are
The
we
ratio, the
exporting?
ratio. Yeah, if you're talking about the ratio as just opposed to the import,
Yes.
yes, you are right. The ratio is there. But if you remember that when Mr. Fowler, before Mr. Fowler came to the FIRS, FIRS was having a lot of leakages, and the rate of generating funds was very abysmal. And Mr. Fowler worked actually one of the because he's one of Ashwani's proteges. And by the time he came into the FIRS, it is on record that when we had the downtime on the sale of crude oil, especially during COVID and all these things, and Nigeria was able to benchmark with the revenue from the FIRS. And these things will continue to improve, and technologies will be brought in. Actually, you spoke about blockchain technology, bringing it into the public sector in order to curtail excesses, especially that concerns corruption and so many of these things. That's why I told you that policy, improvement on our policy will help to rejig our system. And in turn, it will also help us to firm up our revenue generation. A lot of revenue streams, more streams will be open in order for us to maximize our opportunity, capturing more revenue for the purpose of development and all of these things.
Okay, so we are also looking at the fact that in the past administration, we have seen, they have been more like stamped with a lot of borrowing. Now we are saying, are there other ways going forward? The Tinubu-led administration is going to come and see 42.8 trillion naira standing as borrowed monies. Is there any other way that the Tinubu-led administration can come in, revise means and policies, and make sure that we are not borrowing more money? Although there seems to be an acceptable explanation for why the borrowings are not such a bad idea. But like Janice initially asked, are there other ways we can go by generating these funds without borrowing more? Because there's a tendency to think that we are selling the future of the next generation
Exactly.
now to also address issues that somewhat look like they don't have national interest.
There are other ways of generating funds. There are other ways of solving problems without you borrowing. That was why I told you about Abashiwa's political capital. He has friends all over the world. He has people that believe in him. He has friends within Nigeria. You saw when he paid a visit to Mr. Ibn and all of these kind of personalities. He's going to talk with them to open more opportunities that will grow the economy. He's talking to people that will bring in more investment into the country that will create jobs. He's throwing to them incentives that look, if you generate this amount of jobs, the government will waive some of these taxes or what have you for you. Remember that the barter trade that is being carried out by the Buhari administration now as regards to infrastructure was actually borrowed from Lagos, whereby uh, the investor comes in and builds roads, and this said amount of tax is waived off. The major thing is for you to solve the problem, create opportunities, and of course, grow the economy. That is what is of importance. It's not about just amassing the money and all of that. It's about solving the problem. And that's why I keep telling you about incentives. I keep telling you about policy change, improving our policy, changing some of these laws. The Buhari administration has done something very well now. They are signed into law that states can build railway lines. It also said that states and private individuals can generate energy and distribute energy, public power, and all of these things, right? These are things that will stimulate our economy, unlike when it was in the exclusive list before, whereby people cannot tap into it. Remember that in year 2000, Ashwaju was almost completely